Sellers say, "Show me the money." That's the sentiment of homeowners when they decide to list their home for sale. There's a lot of big changes coming quickly to the world of buying and selling real estate that will impact the amount of money sellers and buyers keep in their pockets. Hi, Emily Farber here, your favorite Iowa YouTubing realtor. I give my viewers real talk about all things real estate, so if you haven't subscribed already, you should. If you're planning to sell your home, you may be wondering, do I have to pay the buyer's agent's commission anymore? No, you don't, but the fact of the matter is you never had to. A better question would be, should I pay the buyer's agent commission? Okay, before I answer that, let's back up just a little bit and lay out some of the key changes coming to a real estate transaction near you. Buyers and their agents now have a contract that they must sign up front, a lot like a listing agent signs a contract with the seller when listing their house for sale. Going through this step means that buyers will have the opportunity to carefully interview agents before engaging one of them for their real estate services. And it puts buyers in control of choosing an agent that best aligns with their goals. Now, this agreement is a requirement that cannot be avoided. A real estate agent cannot show a buyer a home unless they have a signed buyer rep agreement and the specifics of that agent-client relationship are spelled out. These agreements are designed to provide greater transparency for buyers. We're talking things such as what kind of property a buyer is looking for, a geographic search area, what the agent's duties and obligations are, what the buyer's role is, the length of time of the agreement, a conspicuous statement about how fees in real estate are not set and are negotiable, and how much the buyer's agent will charge for his or her services. The party that pays that fee can be either the seller or the buyer or a combination of both. Listen to that again, because I've been hearing news channels get it wrong, and the last thing we need is more misinformation surrounding real estate. The party that pays the buyer's agent fee can either be the buyer or the seller or a combination of both. This detail is important and we're going to come back to it, so hang with me. Here in Iowa, where I work, this law about the requirement of a buyer agreement went into effect July 1st, 2024. If a buyer wants to see a home and the agent they call up to ask to schedule a showing should be talking to them about it because this agent is required to have it signed before unlocking a door for any buyer. The only way a buyer can see a property listed without signing a buyer's agreement is to go to that property during an open house. The buyer agreement is also mandatory prior to an agent writing an offer. So even if a buyer wants to write an offer sight unseen, the agreement still must be signed. For more information all about the buyer's agreement, you should watch this video when you get done with this one, of course. The next big change has to do with information on the MLS. The MLS, or Multiple Listing Service, is the source that feeds out information about homes to just about every place else. That listing you saw on Zillow, it came from the MLS. What about what you saw on homes.com? From the MLS. The information your realtor has been printing off and bringing to you for every single showing that you go to? The MLS. The information on the MLS comes from agents. Listing agents enter data about their listings into the MLS each time they list a new property for sale, and one of the fields on the MLS is commission to the cooperating broker, also known as CCB or co-broke for short. That shows how much money is being offered as commission to the agent who brings the buyer and closes the deal. You're going to hear this called a lot of different things. Professional fee, the agent's pay, compensation, commission. They all mean the same thing. Commission is the agent's paycheck. Most agents work on a 100% commission basis, which means that they don't get paid at all unless they close the deal and earn that commission. That data field is being eliminated from the MLS on August 17th. While the DOJ claims that these changes are being made for greater transparency and consumer protection, I and a lot of other people think that removing, aka hiding this information, is doing the exact opposite for buyers. Now listen to me carefully here. Come August 17th, just because that information about the co-broke is removed from the MLS, it does not mean that sellers cannot offer to pay the buyer's agent commission. It just makes it harder for consumers to find the information they need to make informed decisions. Why would a consumer need to know this information? Because it is highly likely a buyer does not have the ability to pay their buyer's agent out of pocket, or they prefer not to. And if a property does not offer a co-broke, then that property is essentially removed from the list of possibilities for those buyers. In order to find out if a co-broke is being offered on properties that their clients are interested in, agents are essentially going to be going on wild goose chases, calling or texting all of those listing agents. And while this sounds easy, actually getting a listing agent to respond to inquiries can be amazingly and annoyingly difficult. We're going to scour listing agent brokerage websites for co-broke information. We're going to drive around and see if there's a sign writer on a yard sign advertising a co-broke, or we're going to be looking for printed materials in the homes that indicate if there's a co-broke. Pretty annoying, huh? Considering it's information that is just as important as the price, location, and number of bedrooms in a property. Now, while the amount of compensation being offered to a buyer's agent has always been negotiable, for a while, according to MLS rules, compensation had to be something, even as low as $1 or a penny. Then that changed and it could be zero, nothing. The big question now is, will the absence of a co-broke data field embolden more sellers to offer $0? Because they know as of August 17th, it will be hidden from the public eye. One could argue that listings that offer a $0 co-broke have a scarlet letter on them because those sellers are pushing the co-broke expense off onto buyers. Wait a minute, you might be wondering why I would equate a $0 co-broke to a listing wearing a scarlet letter? After all, isn't it my fiduciary duty to show my buyer clients anything they want to see? Yes, it is, and yes, I do. However, the service and insights I provide my clients is valuable. Just like you get paid for your job, so do I. I do not work for free. So at the point of encountering a property with no co-broke, I have to let my buyer clients know that if they want to proceed, we can attempt to negotiate that fee with the seller, but if that is unsuccessful, they'll have to pay me out of pocket if they want to buy the property. This gives buyers major pause. They realize that the seller is not commensurately reducing their asking price to reflect the altered paying field of no co-broke. By default, I would argue that a property with zero co-broke has a serious negative with it in the eyes of most buyers. The question of who is actually paying the real estate commissions is like the question of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Sellers feel like they are the ones paying all the commissions because it's their property. Buyers, on the other hand, feel like they are the ones actually paying the commissions because the seller wouldn't have any money liquidated to pay anyone if the buyer hadn't have paid the seller for the property. So, sellers out there, back to my original question. When listing your home for sale, should you offer to pay the buyer's agent commission? Yes, you should. If you are not offering a co-broke to the buyer's agents, you are eliminating a large pool of your potential buyers, and that comes with negative ramifications for you. Not offering a co-broke from a marketing perspective is like trying to drive a car with flat tires or a train that's been run off its track. Without a large pool of buyers able to realistically consider your house, you will be increasing the amount of time it takes to sell your property. You'll likely be decreasing the sales price of your property because you won't have as many buyers competing for it, and you'll be less likely to get those really favorable terms you want, such as buyers waiving inspections, waiving appraisals, etc. Again, because buyers do those things when they are competing against each other, trying to win the deal. A buyer who does not feel the pressure of potentially losing out on what they want does not come to the table with their best offer. Additionally, without offering a co-broke, you are pushing buyers to attempt to represent themselves. Real estate transactions are complicated and ruled by timelines, details, and deadlines. Do you want such an expensive and important transaction being conducted by someone who may or may not understand the rules of the game, so to speak? It will be like a FSBO transaction, but instead of the seller being for sale by owner, it will be BPBB, buyer purchase by buyer. Have I just created an entirely new acronym? If you as a seller have just entirely upended your life, purchased another property, put yourself in a financially precarious situation of holding 2 mortgages, hired movers, and done all of the things you need to do on your side of the transaction, are you just going to trust someone who you don't know, who isn't using a professional to guide them through the transaction to make sure it all stays on the rails? That sounds really risky. And in real estate, mistakes cost time and money. By trying to save some money, you're risking a lot more money. I would suggest, instead of worrying about paying the buyer's agent, you reframe the idea of a co-broke and look at it as a safety net for your plans and a marketing opportunity that will set your listing apart from other listings that are not offering a co-broke. Guess what? Buyers will flock to listings that offer co-brokes because those listings make home ownership achievable. Because let's be real estate is freaking expensive. Many buyers are already struggling to make buying a home a reality. Listings that do not offer a co-broke make the hurdle even higher, even more unattainable. If you actually want to sell your house as quickly as possible, for as much money as possible, and keep the transaction as smooth as possible, you should offer compensation to the buyer's agent. How much that should be is a conversation between you and your listing agent. Without offering it, you are slashing your own tires, derailing your own train, whatever analogy you prefer, and it's not an effective strategy to get to your destination of successfully selling your property. I'm sure you've got lots of opinions on the topic, so tell me about it down in the comments section. Hey, it's been fun, and I'll catch you later.